how proof of knowledge and credential NFTs will change education. Please help me welcome Dr. Kavner, PhD Dr. Kavner. Come on up.
Thank you so much, Larry. I really appreciate it. So, yeah, this what he just read, the title of my talk, and originally that was absolutely what I was planning on talking about, credentialing and proof of knowledge, NFTs, because I am an educator by trade. So for the most part, when you're thinking of NFTs, that's what you would think to make sure that you're putting up there. But, I've been here for the past couple days. I've been emceeing in the other room for quite a bit of it. So many of you have heard me talk at least a little bit, and you know that I'm a computational cognitive neuroscientist. And many of the educators that have been here and that are big in this space have come up and talked about credentialing and proof of knowledge NFTs because of the fact that the blockchain is transparent, immutable, and decentralized. And quite honestly, it's really one of the most important aspects of the blockchain when it comes to education. But I figured, since you guys have gotten a lot of talk about that so far, I'm going to go a little bit into some of my research and how that is affected by the blockchain. So as a computational cognitive neuroscientist, I work with the intersection between AI, specifically machine learning, the blockchain, and the human brain. And it might not seem like there's a lot of overlap with those three things, but they are all run on data and numbers. And so because of that, you can utilize predictive engines to basically give you insight into any of them. And in some ways, it's really exciting and can give you so much information, but in some ways, it's also kind of creepy. So I'm going to go into a couple of those things. And so I kind of changed it this morning, the title of my talk. I mean, just at least in my own mind, because in the program it's still the same. But we're going to talk about how AI and blockchain can secure our brains and our sense of self. And that might seem a little almost philosophy meets dystopia. Well, that's not that wrong, actually. So what I do is I create these predictive models of the human brain utilizing neurocognitive data. And neurocognitive data is very similar to a lot of the data that you will get from a fitness tracker, right? So with these predictive models, I can get really detailed information about what makes you tick. I can figure out what makes you stressed, what makes you happy. I can think about what gets you frustrated. The moment that you understand a concept, I can see it using brain imaging, and I can also see whether you're lying utilizing HRV, heart rate, which is heart rate variability, electrodermal activity, and brain imaging, kind of course, right? So, in some ways, I can get a lot of information, a remarkable amount of insight into what makes you, you. I know, I already said it, it's very creepy, right? But what's even creepier is to think about when we have these centralized companies getting a hold of that data, right? And we're kind of doing that already, many of us, myself included, okay? Anybody that utilizes Google Fit, Fitbit, Garmin, any of these fitness trackers, some of the things that they are tracking, they're getting information about is your heart rate variability. Some of them are getting your electrodermal activity. And so we kind of use that as insight into how we are exercising, how fit we are. And yes, it does give you that information. But it also gives a lot of information into your thought processes and into your emotional state. Heart rate variability alone can give me clear insight as to what stresses you out, what frustrates you, what's anxiety provoking, all right? I can find all that out in real time using heart rate variability. Electrodermal activity is even, more informative, but also creepier, because you don't even have to know or be aware that you just got stressed out by something, and it'll pick it up. And we actually get that data because we can put you into a VR kind of program. We can shine a light super fast and then see the change in your skin conductance, which is your electrodermal activity. And we can say to you, okay, so what just happened? Nothing. I didn't see anything happen. Well, I know that I just put a light on you real fast, and that it's something that typically will create a little bit of stress on somebody. So I can see that the stimulus, and I can see your reaction, even though you didn't feel the stress. You didn't notice it very quickly. You just kind of maybe felt something off, and you know those feelings where nothing really happened in the room, but you just started feeling a little off, or you started feeling a little stressed, and you couldn't even tell what it was. And that means that the stimulus that actually made you stressed was subcortical, okay, or subconscious. So that's why you weren't aware of it. But I can still get that information from your EDA. And so in some ways, that knows you better than you do, okay? I told you, I'm gonna get creepier and creepier, right? And so if we think about it, if we have these, we're already giving that information to these large companies, right? What are they gonna do with it? Okay. And this is not only because of the United States or any country at all. What they're going to do, they're going to try to monetize it, right? They're going to try to monetize it somehow, whether it's by utilizing it for marketing and for ads, or for finding out what actual product research, right? They're going to monetize it somehow. They're just going to sell it to other people so that they can use it for marketing and for product research. And so that's where we are right now. And in some ways, that's because of the world of Web 2, right? Where you're kind of renting your life instead of owning your life, right? And so, it's really, like I said, very frightening to think about these companies getting a hold of this data. And so some people might say at that point, like, I mean, in some ways, who are you if you aren't your brain data, right? If I say to you, who are you? Typically, or tell me about you, you're going to tell me about things that are your memories, your thoughts, your emotions, right? Your preferences. You're not going to say I'm an arm, right? You're not going to say you're a part of your body either. You're typically going to be talking about things that are present in your mind. So you're giving access at that point, and like I said, myself included, right, to companies with the information of what makes you you. And even though it's not being able to be done quite yet, well, very, very soon they'll be able to use that data, make enough predictive engines, right, one over the other, where they can figure out how you would react in any situation. And in some ways, they are cloning, or digitally cloning your brain, okay? And now, not in the way where it's like you're like the Netflix, Hulu or Netflix or whatever, the upload. No, I think it was Amazon. The upload, that was just like where they upload the brain into a VR program. It doesn't have to be that way. By having these models, they're getting so much information about you. It is like it's identity theft, but like on steroids, right? Just even so much more. So you may wonder why, at that point, would you even take the time to make these neurocognitive models if there's just so much dystopian, thoughts that can be involved with it, right? Because there's a lot of good that they can do too. Using these predictive models, we're able to have early detection for autism, for ADHD, and for Alzheimer's, right? We're able to actually come up with more effective treatments for those and other neurological and psychological disorders. So there is a lot of good that they can do. And do you, kind of give up on the good because of the possibility of the bad? And this is one of those things that we kind of deal with all the time, right? Do we give up on the good because of the bad? You kind of have to make those decisions and see basically where your cutoff is, where your risk tolerance is. So Web 3, we all know here, is about ownership, right? Like I said before, we're not renting our lives anymore. We're trying to own our lives. And so, because it's about ownership, we can take that neurocognitive data and put it into an NFT. So that's exactly what I am trying to do, I'm working on doing, is taking that neurocognitive data, putting it into an NFT, so that now it is you own your neurocognitive data. You can share it as you please. You can not share it, right? But at the same token, you at that point now have some element of control. if there is control in this life at all, right? And so, because if you think of, you want to protect your brain, you want to protect that data, because that data is you, and you want to own you. I know, and it also started at 8 minutes when I was up here, so I've been doing this all week. I know the tricks. So I'm going to, at this point, just kind of, like I said, originally my talk was on NFT credentialing and proof of knowledge. I am happy to talk to anybody about that. You're welcome to come find me. We will have a nice little chat. Honestly, I saw earlier Joshua Lang actually burned up his PhD on stage. I got a little piece of it in my bag over there, which is really crazy, because he's created the credentials that are already taking all of the stuff that you did to do that program, all of your transcript, all of your test scores, everything, putting it, and it actually is much more meaningful at that point. But I would like to also say, I'm going to go, this is my old, see, I told you it was there. Oh, there we go. Say thank you. If you guys can just scan the code, you'll get to my information. Thank you so much, and please, I'd love to talk to any of you. You can come and find me right outside so that we don't interrupt the next team. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr.